Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I'm just going to move stuff around a little bit video-wise. So, welcome to the impromptu live show. For those of you watching, as you can see, I'm still navigating internet issues in the Dominican Republic, or the mountains of the Dominican. So I am staying at a hotel and rearranging things, going by the flow of what is happening. And I just wolfed down some shrimp cocktail at the restaurant in like 30 seconds to get back over here and do my live. So here I am, very impromptu. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about the spiritual shift going on, and I've talked about it before, but I wanted to talk about what it looks like and feels like and sounds like, you know, as we are entering into this new way of being, because it's the you know, we have to gain some perspective about what I'm talking about here. You know, a spiritual shift is an entirely new way of being. It's, you know, it's an entirely new way of interacting with the world. And we got a couple comments. Sarah's here. Awesome. Thanks for joining last minute. Abby says not fair, LOL. I'm not sure what's not fair. Maybe I'm sure it was a comment from something I just said. Hopefully it's not about the impromptu and you'll be able to stay through the whole show. Hopefully. But yeah, so, you know, what I'm talking about here is it's an entirely new way of being that we are coming into, you know, and we've been talking about a spiritual shift, living spiritually, growing through things, transcending things. You know, we've talked about this for a long time, and you know, the largest teachers in the world like Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and all these people, they're all, you know, we're all teaching mindfulness and power of now and consciousness and living consciously and all this stuff. And those are all tools. They're all helpful. They're all useful. But we have to wrap our brain around what we're doing here. Because, you know, even all the problems in the world, are a symptom of what's happening. It's part of the shift, you know. And if we focus on the suffering, then we're not going to get the lesson. You know, it's the same in the macrocosm as it is in the microcosm. So our own spiritual work, you know, we have hopefully my cut out on you guys. I just saw something resetting. And Abby said it's not fair about the shrimp cocktails. So yeah, hopefully the internet's going to hold up for me. So the problems in the world are, you know, just like our personal problems. If we focus on the problem and being a victim of it, we're not going to get the lesson and be able to grow through it. And it's like that in the macrocosm as well. So we we have to disconnect from the suffering and the, oh my God, this is wrong, and oh, this shouldn't be happening, and oh, isn't it horrible, and understand that it is pushing us to shift. That's what these problems are doing. So globally, collectively, we are being pushed to shift, and we're doing all this spiritual work to try to shift, and we're talking about shifting and all that stuff. And I don't think a lot of people are clear on what we're doing or what it's supposed to look like and stuff. It's kind of like we're getting ready to graduate, and we don't think we're ready to start working yet. Like something along those lines. It's like the spiritual shift that we've been talking about and all the tools we've been learning and working with, the time to use them is now. The time to live in this new existence is now. It's here. Like that everybody that's on the spiritual path, or if you're thinking about leaning into the spiritual path, you need to lean in more now. So what we are actually ushering in, Faith is restless. She hasn't gotten her usual exercise today. You can hear her shaking. What we're ushering in here is a complete new way of being, a new way of interacting with reality. And I think once we wrap our brain around what we're doing and what it can vaguely look like, we can actually start doing it. We actually have to be spiritual now. It's time to live it. It's time to be it. Not time to learn it, not time to play around with it. We actually have to be it. And a lot of us that are on the path are being pushed to do that in another level, including myself. So this is how all social change takes place. It's by being something different, and I'll use Gandhi as the example. I just watched that movie again the other day, last week or something. And every once in a while, I like watching that movie. And it's, Gandhi, yeah, he talked about things, but more than that, he was different. He started behaving differently. He was a lawyer heading into a particular direction with life, and then actually changed that direction and started interacting with life differently, with different beliefs and different ideology of what was important, and more importantly, a different ideology about how things work in the world. Before he was, he went to law school, became a lawyer. Well, let's expand on that, or imagine what his life up until that point was driven by. It was driven by the same thing that a lot of our lives are driven by. It's driven by this idea of going to school, getting an education, participating in life that way, buying a house, having a family, all just the normal type of societal things were driving him. And then, through some experiences, now all of a sudden he bases not only the way he talks and the way he thinks, but his actions on a different ideology. Now all of a sudden he's functioning from an energetic point, from an energetic perspective. He's going, we have to be the change we wish to see, and being passive and non-resistant, or non-compliant, and resistant, that is more powerful. Eventually, he understood the dynamics of energy, that eventually these people were going to cave. And he told them, like in the movie, it portrays it, they said, well, what do you want? And he said, well, at some point, you guys are going to ask us to leave. You're going to want to leave on your own accord. And they're like, yeah, right. But he understood energy. If people don't get what they want, eventually they're going to, there's no use for them to be there. You know, if they can't control the people, and controlling the people is their goal, that's what they want. They want a country and they want to be able to control it. After a while, if they don't get that, there's really no reason for them to be there. If they can see that they're not going to get that. So, but he behaved in that way. He behaved in a way where the dynamics of energy controlled his words, it controlled his behavior, his actions, it controlled everything. This is how social change takes place. This is what we're in for now, is social change. We are changing the way society is. So we need to start acting in different ways, and we have to start functioning from larger concepts like energy, you know, understanding energy and how it works. And then we have to, like, that is our intention. Our words and our actions are birthed from our intentions. So once we lock onto a belief system and an intention, like we go, okay, so everything's energy. And like, if I truly believe that, then if I monitor my energy going out and understand the dynamics of it, then this will happen, and I'll experience happiness and blah, blah, blah. So we have to wrap our brain around the ideology, which a lot of it we've already learned through spiritual teaching and stuff. But now we're not playing around with it anymore. Like, we're not experimenting and, I'll just implement that in this area of my life where it's easy, or, I'll work through this difficult thing over here and then I'll experience a sense of relief. You know, most of the working through trauma stuff, or trauma's a heavier word, you know, that working through trauma, we can actually transcend things, and it can be more profound. But working through smaller energies, we get a sense of relief. Big deal. It's not that big of a deal. That doesn't change lives. It doesn't change society, working through something that's been bothering you. You know, we have to go beyond this to a whole nother level and really start functioning from a different way of being, a different conceptual way. And when we start doing that, when we really start going, okay, well, everything's energy. And I'll just give an example of what I'm talking about here. You know, a practical example. Everything's energy, and this world has been way overloaded with masculine energy for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. Way too much masculine energy. It's completely out of whack. So in nature, if something needs to come back into balance, then it would only make sense that the thing that's out of balance, that's lower, would need to be, it can be perceived as more powerful. Is it technically more powerful? Probably not, but it's just that since it's out of whack, it needs to at least give better results in the meantime. And you can say it's giving better results because it's out of balance, and the closer we get to balance, until we get to that point of balance, then it's just going to be more effective because we have too much of the other. Or you can say it's more effective. It doesn't matter how your brain wants to rationalize it. The point is masculine energy, we have too much of it, and we don't have enough feminine energy. So as that comes back into balance, feminine energy is going to work really well. No matter how your brain needs to rationalize that, feminine energy is going to work really, really well. So to take that concept and to bring it into our reality, what we need to do is understand feminine energy and how it works. Feminine energy, I usually explain this as feminine energy is like a water, going down a river, and masculine energy is like a rock in the middle of the river, and it's, standing up against it going, no, thou shalt not pass. And the feminine energy, the water just goes around it, goes over it, goes around the other side of it, might go under it in some cases. It just continues on, and it accomplishes its task. And it doesn't get into an argument with the rock. It doesn't say, hey, you shouldn't be in my river. What right do you have to stop me from trying to go where I want to go? That's an argument. That's masculine energy meeting masculine energy. And you argue, and basically nothing ever gets solved. Feminine energy just flows. It just goes, masculine energy goes, no. And feminine energy just goes, might giggle a little bit, and then it just goes around and does it anyway. Because the masculine energy doesn't have any power, really. Yes, Sarah just heard my mind bell in the background. So, the feminine energy, it doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't have to get into arguments. It doesn't have to beat the masculine energy. It just goes and just does what it accomplishes, what it wants to accomplish. And we need to bring this into life. We have to stop arguing with people all the time to try to get them to see our point. This is one of the biggest ways that the masculine energy is in control right now, and the feminine energy isn't. We're just arguing. We're just running around arguing. I mean, look at politics. They just argue. Nothing ever actually gets done. They just argue about it. That's masculine against masculine, and nothing ever gets done. So if you bring in the feminine and it just bypasses the argument and it just goes and gets stuff done, yeah, I'll be over here doing this. It just does it. That is actually living feminine energy. That's actually bringing it in. And men, obviously men, we have too much masculine energy because we have more masculine energy anyway. So we're obviously going to lean in that direction. But a lot of times women lean in that direction too much too, just because masculine energy, masculine strength has been the only form of strength that's been visible to us. Uno momento, por favor. Our faith is very restless tonight. Hopefully that will help. So masculine energy is, men and women, we lean too much towards masculine energy because it's been the only form of strength. So what we need to do is we need to start shifting away from that and lean into feminine energy for our strength, because it works 10 times better, 100 times better. It just works much better because we're out of balance. So and like I was saying, both genders lead towards masculine strength because it's the only symbol of strength. This is why, a lot of times there's been, there's no way to phrase this politely. So over the years, there's been women very upset because, like, when they start acting strong, they get labeled as a bitch. And they go, it's not fair, it's not fair. Well, the problem is what they're doing is they're not acting in feminine strength. They're acting in masculine strength. And it doesn't match, and it doesn't work, and that's why they're getting labeled. Now, is it any better when a man does it? No, it's not any better. But like this is actually an example of how we're arguing over the wrong things. Like we're going, well, you shouldn't call women a bitch when they're strong, because men are idiots. It's like, what sense does that make? So we're seeing men do something wrong. They're using masculine energy, forceful, being jerks, And then to combat that, we do the exact same thing that they're doing. And then we're upset because somebody called us a bitch. It's like, no, we tap into your feminine strength, tap into your feminine energy. That's the whole point. Men, we need to tap into our feminine side too. It doesn't matter what gender you are. My point is we're arguing about the wrong thing. The problem isn't that somebody's calling a female a bitch for doing the same thing a guy does. That's not the problem. The problem is that men and women are doing the wrong thing. That's the problem. So instead of arguing about two people doing the wrong thing and what name we should label them, why don't we focus on the problem and be like, okay, there's just too much masculine energy. There's too much masculine strength being displayed and it's not working. So we need to bring in feminine energy and feminine strength, and when we bring that in, we're going to see it. So we can do this in many ways. It's if somebody attacks, if we attack back, that's masculine and it just doesn't work well. So if somebody is attacking, if you can stand in your power and just, no, don't give them the time of day. It's not worth it. Walk away. A lot of times there's one, like, I'll just try to give some real life examples here. So, this can sink in and we can make it applicable to life. So like a lot of times in work environments and stuff and business and life, there'll be, we'll just say there's some masculine jerk out there and he's attacking people and making people look bad. And, it can be a female as well. But somebody's attacking, making people feel bad and all this stuff. We get very protective and we go, oh my God, they attacked me and they said something that wasn't true and this is horrible. And like everybody's going to think that I'm a loser because this person said I was. And like, if you rise above the situation, what we see in a confident, strong way, feminine strength, we rise above it. And, you might have to say something to some of the other people like, oh yeah, so-and-so said something, I mean, of course it's not true. Sometimes you have to say stuff like that. Sometimes you don't, but it's really not that big of a deal unless you give your power to it. So most times when there's a jerk like that, everybody that interacts with that person knows they're a jerk. Like they know that. They have a reputation for being a jerk. They have a reputation for attacking people. They probably attacked all the people that person is telling bad things about you to. He's probably attacked them too. Or they've seen that person attack multiple people on a regular basis because that's just what they do. So we don't have to be so scared about what people are thinking about us because of some loose-lipped meathead that's attacking people. Because everybody knows he's a loose-lipped meathead. So, so it's like they take it with a grain of salt because that's what he does. He attacks people. It's amazing how often I have seen that. And when we relax away from it and we go, I'm not going to take it personally, whatever, he can't hurt me. We don't give power. And then we kind of maybe connect with the other people that are around and stuff. Everybody's like, oh my God, yeah, I hate when he does that. He does that all the time. Oh no, I never believed it for a moment. This is what happens. We don't have to fight against everything. Especially everything we think we need to fight against. We don't need to defend ourselves so much. We don't need to fight against things all the time. It's not that important. And people read energy better than they think we do. So this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. That's like an applicable way where we can start interacting with life differently. If you understand, I'll give you another example energy-wise. If you have an example of like energy, right? And like there's this really negative situation out there, like frustration, anger, in parenting, sometimes it comes out where your kids are acting out, and you feel you need to adjust their behavior. So what do? We usually go back to what we got when we were kids, which was discipline. So you have a kid that's fearful. That's usually why they're acting out, because they're not feeling secure and okay. So that's a fear. And then what we do is we bring in more fear. We bring in, which everything negative is a version of fear. So anger, we bring it and we yell at them, And it's so we have a child filled with fear, and then we bring in more fear. So we have a bigger ball of fear. This was some of the times I did the right thing, parenting. I would think about that. I'd be like, what did I receive when I was a kid when I got into trouble? Well, I received discipline. Did that work? No. As I was already, I was acting out because there was a problem. So I wasn't feeling safe. I wasn't feeling secure. And then the people who were supposed to be on my side protecting me, I felt attacked by. So that made me feel less secure. So be like, well, what's another way to come at it? What about love? If I'm not coming from it from a version of fear, when I flip-flop the energy and come at it with a version of love. Oh, and when I would do that, it would work well. I'd love to say I did it every time. I didn't. But this is understanding energy. If you have a ball of fear, if you have a ball of anger, and then you attack it with masculine energy, or more fear, or more anger, or more frustration, you're going to have a bigger ball. Like, that's just science. If you have a ball of negative energy and you bring in more negative energy, you're going to have a larger ball of negative energy. If you bring in love, it dissipates. It's the different energy. It's the opposite. So then you have less anger and more love. So these are the types of dynamics that we have to understand, conceptually. Because if we understand them conceptually, they will become our intention. This is how I want to live. I want to live through this belief system. I want to live through this dynamic of energy. I want to embody feminine strength when a difficulty arises. And then you act in that way. It determines the words you choose. It determines the actions you take, depending on what you are trying to accomplish. So if you're trying to accomplish how to come from love in these situations, bring more love into the world, bring more love into a difficult situation. If you're trying to bring more feminine energy into a situation, if that's your goal and you spend a little bit of time studying feminine energy, what it looks like, how it acts and stuff like that, so you can have a more in-depth knowledge than what I just said, and then live it. Don't study it. I mean, like, read one book or listen to one podcast or study it on Google for 45 minutes. That's it. Don't study it for a lifetime. We're addicted to learning and gathering information. That's not what we need to do. What we need to do is we need to live differently in these situations. So this is what I'm talking about. Understanding the concepts. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure that you guys understood everything that I just said. So if you understand it, then you can start living it. And, you could probably fine tune it a little bit in a conversation or two, but don't get addicted to the information and learning. It's not that big of a deal. It's conceptual. Like, I taught this stuff to my son when he was 6. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. We all are energetic conceptual beings. We understand concepts. We understand dynamics. Pretty much everybody does, of course, at different levels to some degree. But I mean, it's not that complicated to understand that, if you have negative energy and you put more negative energy and you have more negative energy, that's just a concept. So it's not that difficult to understand. But we need to start living it more now. We need to live it. And when we're living in a different reality, that's how we usher in a new reality. So the whole point of what I've been saying is to say, okay, where are we going? We're bringing in a new way of being. What does that look like? Well, to Gandhi, it was like, okay, we no longer have a government forcing its will upon us, and boom. So they started living as if they didn't have this entity controlling what they did. They would tell them, but they wouldn't do it. So eventually, living, it manifested into this world, and they actually lived like that, and they actually created a new way of being. And this is what we are doing. We are creating a new way of being globally. So we actually have to live it. We have to be cycling. If anybody could put a comment in, because my screen goes black and it cycles, so I don't know if that means it's cutting out. But yeah, so they took their concept and they lived it. They acted like, okay, if we don't partake in what these people are telling us to do, then we won't be under their control. And they lived that. And Gandhi did it, and then people around him did it, and then more people saw him doing it, and they're like, oh my God, this is cool. And then it started gaining speed, and then the governments were paying attention, and then people were going like, oh my God, this works. And they're like, so they hopped onto the concept Gandhi was teaching, and then more people did it, and it became a way of life. This is what we are doing. Okay, yeah, I'm freezing in there. Oh, well, I guess there's nothing I can do. So sorry. Sorry, everybody. This is the best I've got at with internet. Yeah, I'm down in a hotel because I still don't have it at my place. So what we're trying to do is we're taking these concepts and we are living them. And as we live them, our life is going to change. Our personal reality is going to start changing. And then people are going to be like, wow, that's cool. I'm feeling a pull towards that too. And then they'll start doing it. And then all of a sudden their friends will tell two friends, and and then it expands and expands and expands. And then what happens is literally a new way of being is birthed onto this world. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens by everybody that is watching me. I recognize all these names: Rhonda and Sarah and Jennifer and Abby and Tammy and Amy and Raina, and Buddy and Ben. Like, I know all you guys. You guys are living this stuff. And that's where it starts. We are the ones that have to live this, like, I don't know the right word, like freaking live it, man. Don't play with it anymore. 10 years ago, we were playing with spirituality and we were learning the dynamics of it and the concepts, and we were teaching and we were talking, and it was fun and it was cool and it felt exciting because you were kind of getting the keys to life and happiness, and it was like, ooh, this is neat, It's not that time anymore. That time is past. The spiritual shift is here now. So we have to just completely live by this stuff. And you're going to see, I have experienced this in my life. and I have friends that are experiencing it as we speak. You can literally change your reality. Whatever you want, you can have. And I'm not talking material things. You can have that too, but who gives a crap about material things? I'm talking about life experiences. When I first woke up, I was so open. I knew what I want. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go be with my son. How? I don't know. I didn't worry about the hows. I just knew what I was going to do. I knew what my heart felt, and I just did it. And I didn't second guess anything. My brain was completely washed dry of societal belief systems and the way I was taught to live from society growing up. All that had wiped clean, and I was a clean slate. And I just went by feel and what I knew to be truth inside. I knew that I was loved and cared for, and I knew that being with my son was the right thing to do. So I'm going to do that. And then, a place for me to stay fell in my lap. The right job fell into my lap. I wasn't really allowed to see my son much in the beginning. And I knew that I was going to be in his life on, basically multiple times a week. I think I used to phrase it. I want to be almost on a daily basis. How? I don't know. But then all of a sudden, my ex-wife went back to school, and they moved in with her boyfriend. And so I moved close to them, and I figured out my work schedule so I could watch my son 5 days a week because she needed a babysitter at that time. So it just got handed to me. Like, I knew that I was going to be with my son on a daily basis, and she wasn't going to give it to me at that time. I could see him like once or twice a week, I believe, before that. And the situation was handed to me. So I just went to court, locked the visitation rights in. He was with me 4 or 5 days a week up until he was 12 when he moved in with me full time. You can't make this stuff up. It's just provided. There's a whole world out there that we can create that is based in love and joy and peace and excitement and fun, and all the fears and the worries aren't even part of it. They're not even part of it. And this is where you land when you dive in. You land right in a basket of joy. So, this is what we're going to, and we need to. I want to talk to you guys about it. Well, I never know what I'm going to talk about exactly, but I laid all that groundwork because I want you guys to understand that the world we are creating a world in which you have as much vacation time as you want. You have as much money as you want, I guess is one way to phrase it. Money just isn't an issue. We have happy relationships, friends, family, communities that you can depend on one another. We're going to live in groups, communities, where we actually act lovingly towards one another and depend on one another. And we're not going to work jobs that we dislike for a paycheck. Like, all that crap isn't going to exist. That was unconscious, human-made crap that has cultivated the world in which we live in, filled with a bunch of dysfunctional lives and problems. We agreed to believe in that type of thing at some point in history, and it's created the chaos that we are in now. So the beauty about spirituality is that it always wins. It's kind of like the feminine energy. It always gets to where it's going. So we probably could have chosen an easier route thousands of years ago, but we didn't. We chose to believe in the ego and to create a system based on greed and money. And this is where we've gotten to. Okay, no big deal. We're here now. And it no longer works. And we see that it no longer works. So we're creating a new way of being now. So since we're creating a new way of being now, here we are. And it's going to a loving place. It's just like our personal lives. We suffer when we make poor choices. They're unconscious or conscious. When we make poor choices, it's just natural. Then and so we do that on a personal level. And we're out the other side. So it's up to us that are on a spiritual plane to really get a vague idea of the world we're creating and start living like that world, because you can create it. You're the master of your own reality. And we have to start believing that. We can't sit around dipping our toe into the pool for the next 5 years and expect a new way of being just to pop up. We are the ones that are doing it. And if we need to live it first and then be the example for the other people, and then we can do it. And of course, this is one of the reasons why I'm in the DR, living in the mountains. You know, hey, if I was perfect at this, maybe I wouldn't be struggling with the internet. Probably not, but not perfect. I've got some growth to do too. So I've done 10, I was just saying this to somebody, I've done 10 times more things than I've needed to do, at least, to have perfect internet, and I still don't have it. That means the problem isn't my effort. The problem is me. There's something for me to learn. My energy is off. And that's what I'm focusing on now. And so when I come back and I'm like, guys, my internet solved, please know that it wasn't anything that I did on a physical level. I've done 10 times more than I needed to on a physical level already. It still is. So the problem is physical. The problem is my energy. My energy is messing up the internet. So as I work through my work, my internet will fix itself. It'll be fine. It's not, I know that. And I'm living like that now. And I'm telling you that. I'm ratting myself out. I'm telling you guys, this is my learning curve. This is where I need to live it. So I'll tell you, I'll rat myself out and tell you exactly what's happening. Start living as if, people. Start living as if, and look at the generation to kind of give us hints about where. Because if you look at the younger generation, a lot of times we go, oh, they're so entitled. They think that they should have an awesome job and tons of vacation, and they should be able to travel wherever they want, and they should have, yeah, they should. And you know what? So should you. You should too. This is the world we're ushering in. So hop on board, because these younger kids already know it. I'm not saying that they don't have their own learning curve. They do. Sometimes they got to learn to take a little bit more action on this plane. But the point is we are ushering in a new, blissful, loving, wonderful way of being. It's coming. It's coming. And you're going to experience it the fastest way you can experience it is by making the changes in your own life. Living it, looking around. Where can I increase, where can I act out of faith? Where can I usher in this new way of being? What changes can I make? Put it back on you. Don't play the victim and, oh, this is what's wrong. No, turn it back on you. How this new being, because it's coming, and I'm to be at the forefront. And I want some of you guys there with me. So there. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all that's coming through today. So thank you guys. Honestly, I don't know when my lives are going to be because of the internet thing. So I'm playing around with it, but I'm thinking my lives are going to be either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday moving forward. And, I'm going to try to make it in the afternoon, evening. So that's my best guess. I don't. That's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see. And I mean, in the meantime, this is it, guys. I used to be so professional. I know Ben's watching, and he can attest to this. My God, I wanted everything to a T at a perfect time, all the time, and that's just not life. And it sure as heck isn't life in the DR. So like I needed to take my hands off and go, you know what? The people who are meant to see it will see it. I'm going to do the best that I can, and that's going to be fine. And you guys can watch these on the replay. Hey, I love the live interaction, but if it's not possible, it's not possible. It's the same information if you watch it after or listen to it after. So it's cool. I mean, this is what brings me peace. This is me living it. Stop trying to control when I have internet, when I don't have internet, how it's going to work, make it convenient and professional for everybody. I'm just relaxing and doing the best that I can. And of course, I would like to have a steady time. So it's going to be easier for you guys to watch and participate. And it would be easier on my schedule to have a little structure as to when I'm going to do them. So as soon as I can, I will, I'm going to try to have a set day and time. But for now, yo no sé. I don't know. Probably Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, probably afternoon, evening. So thank you all so much. Loving all the comments. I know I didn't get to a lot of them, but thank you. And I will talk with you guys soon. Peace.